Did they who?
Yell leader from Oklahoma State.
I don't even know. I could just tell by his body language he was saying something reckless. So it's like, all right, whatever. The game's almost over now. So
And is the 9 a.m. Bowie merchandise available yet?
no. I'm not currently working on that. Currently working on some Texas Tech stuff. But hey, if someone puts it together, that'd be sweet.
On the 55-yard line, were you manipulating number 5 with your eyes? What's your read on that play?
Yeah. So identifying man coverage post snap. I was more trying to manipulate him to throw a seam ball, ideally, but how it worked out helped me with the run. You know, I wouldn't say it was for the purpose of the run.
On a play like that, how do you balance when you give up on finding a receiver and just take off, versus how long do you wait to see if anybody gets open?
Yeah, as we've said in some previous weeks, it's all about finding that line between making plays and making the smart plays. So it's kind of instinctual at that point, and given the situation, 3rd and 16, getting yards regardless would have been a good play for us.
Your line played really well through the game, but watching that 55-yard run, you had 5 defenders coming at you and 5 linemen, and they gave you enough time to evaluate the situation and go untouched.
Yeah, I think it's the little things that are little overlooked. The line played great all night. They gave Deuce and I running lanes. They held up really strong all night against random pressures, a really good front in Oklahoma. Those guys deserve all the credit in the world, and they were able to bounce back. We all had a tough game the week before, and we bounced back, stayed confident, and that group really proved themselves.
Adrian, how much of a weapon can that guy over there Ben Simmons be for you in this offense?
Absolutely. I think Ben's just starting to come into his own. I think he's an athletic freak, and continuing to get him more involved in the offense, I think will only help us.
How much does it mean to Adrian Martinez to hear throughout the week we trust in our quarterback and we know we trust in his skills?
Yeah, that vote of confidence was big for me, and being able to be honest and kind of install confidence at the same time, I think is pretty awesome. Coach Kleiman and Coach Klein as well, because they challenged me, and I felt like I needed that. And that vote of confidence was huge, not only from them, but from my teammates. And I felt that throughout the week.
Can you tell us, did you hear from him?
A lot, yeah. A lot. My phone blew up, and it's always cool to get that kind of support. And I was definitely appreciative of all the people that reached out to me.
Can you tell us more about the conversation that you had with Klein or with Kleiman before last week? Obviously, they wanted you to be more aggressive, but I'm sure there was more said than just that.
Yeah, I like to keep those conversations pretty personal and want to keep that to myself. But again, it was all about challenging, being honest, and also installing confidence. So I really took a lot away from those conversations, and it's something we do every week. So.
On your first touchdown run in the 4th quarter, when you had the fake handoff to Deuce, he goes left, you go right. How did you sell the fakes?
I think it's natural because I could have handed it to him too. So it wasn't necessarily a just quarterback run all the way. It could have gone to Deuce as well. And I think that's what makes it tough for defenses, because they're going to have to pick one or the other. And sometimes they'll give it to Deuce, sometimes they'll keep it, and defenders have to react one way or the other.
Having you run all over Oklahoma like that, you and Deuce, right? How lethal can that be for your offense? Obviously, a really good passing game, too. How lethal can that be for you guys moving forward?
Absolutely. I think it's something that defenses are going to have to account for, obviously, and should open up other avenues of our offense.
What's it been?
It's cool. It's very cool, but it doesn't mean a whole lot. It's temporary. You have to prove it, and I think it's a cool thing for this team, but it's not what we're after. There's still a lot on the horizon, and we have an incredible opponent coming in here who's knocked off a ranked team before. So.
You've been on this stage before. At what point do you hit that reset button and move forward to the next week?
Yeah, almost immediately. You try and enjoy that win, but playing in the Big 12, playing against a really good opponent this week, you have to be able to reset and focus on the next team, because, look, if we're not prepared, they're going to beat us. Anybody can beat anybody any given Saturday, so we'll be ready.
Was your mindset totally different when you stepped on the field in Norman?
I wouldn't say totally different, but I felt like I really wanted to embrace the cut it loose and playing aggressive with an aggressive mindset. Said that early in the week, and I was really trying to embrace that throughout the week, and especially Saturday.
Is that still your mindset here going up against Texas Tech?
Absolutely. It's just one game, you know, and you have to be able to be consistent, and that's what I'm striving for. So I want to continue to bring some of those things that helped our success last Saturday into this season, this Saturday, and move forward.
What stands out with Texas Tech's defense as you prepare for them?
Yeah, they're a really lengthy group. They have a solid front, and they play a little bit differently than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. So it'll be a great challenge for us, and they've had some success. So.
What did your parents say after seeing you live for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, they were just excited to be there. Really cool moment for me that it was the first game they came to, and happened to be probably the best one of my career so far. So really cool moment for us to share together, and just thankful I could go hug them after the game.
When was the last time that you hit that second gear to put you loose for that 55-yarder?
Shoot, earlier in the game. You know, those guys will make you run fast now. They had some speed in the secondary. So.
I've had some other people talk about how neat they thought it was the band was waiting for you when you got home. Was that a pretty cool deal?
I mean, never experienced something like that in my life. You know, I was a little shocked. I heard the noise. I was like, wait, it's 2:45 in the morning. You know, like, what is that? And walking out, big crowd supporting us. I think it speaks to the pride that this place has and the true community that Kansas State is. So it meant a lot to us, and some of them were in pajamas. I mean, I couldn't blame them. Like, they were just out there loving the moment, so it made it even more special.
Adrian, Ben had a career night, and you were obviously on the other end of that, throwing the ball to him. What's it like to kind of contribute to a memorable night for someone who hasn't maybe had that in the passing game?
Yeah, I think that's the game of football right there. You know, we were all sharing that moment together and kind of embracing it for each other at the end in the locker room. So I think it was a special night for all of us, and it was cool that I was able to contribute to Ben's. But I know he's not satisfied with that. I'm not either, and we want to continue to build off it.
Can you explain how you go upon building on something like that where he has a lot of success?
Yeah, just continue hammering on the details. You know, I think as much success as Ben or myself or anybody else had, we still left some things out there on the table, some things we need to clean up. So hammering those details out and knowing we can be better.
He might not look like it now. He said in high school he was pretty much, as a tight end, was strictly a receiver. Do you see those? Do you see the receiver skills there from him?
Absolutely. He's a really athletic cat now, and you know, he played fullback. I think he's able to be diverse and speaks to his skill set.
Malik had his first touchdown, but then he also had that huge kick return that set up your guys' third score of the night after they had tied everything back up. How big was his performance?
Yeah, Malik's performance was huge, and he's an incredible leader on this team. We need him to be successful, and need to get him involved. And I know he recognizes that, we recognize that, and I think he's the best receiver in the Big 12. You know, so him being able to make plays like that in a big game really helped us, and we're going to need him to make some more.
When you're watching the tape and you see the smallest guy on the team be one of your best pass blockers, what do you think about that?
I'm so happy for him, and I told him I gave him my hand.
Yeah, not surprised, but I did miss some of those in real time. I went back, watched the film, and I see Deuce just laying into some guy who's 6'4", you know, 250, and you know, we say so many good things about Deuce. Guy just has a fearless mindset, and I think that's part of what makes him such a special athlete. And even then, another smaller guy, Phil Brooks, on that last run, he was holding the block for, you know, almost 10 seconds. You know, those little plays, that's what helps us win. You know, it's Malik's long kick return, it's the special teams plays, it's the little blocks that all kind of add together that help us win.
You addressed it a little bit earlier, I didn't catch, but the run game. How much of the quarterback run game was by design, and also how much of it was maybe designed also to help people lay off of Deuce a little bit?
Yeah. You know, it's hard to put a number on it, but you know, there was a good amount that were kind of reads that could go either way, and I think when you have those in our offense, it makes defenses choose. And you know, there's a guy that might have to account for me that's now out of the box for Deuce, or vice versa. And ideally, that's that's what we want. You know, we want to be able to help each other out. I'd like to think that I can help Deuce out in the run game, and that in turn will help us out in the pass game. So just continue to build on those things, becoming more efficient and opeing things up in the offense.
The threat of him also helps you in the run game, maybe
Absolutely,
a little bit.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's the biggest threat there is on our offense. So without a doubt.
The term that Coach Kleiman used last week was cut it loose. What was it like for you to maybe get over a mental hurdle to cut it loose? What's that process like?
Yeah, you know, I really just wanted to embrace that kind of mantra, if you will, cut it loose, you know, play free, play fearless, and, you know, Coach Kleiman really installed a lot of confidence in me, Coach Klein as well. And I wanted to embrace those things going into Saturday, so it's cool to have that come into fruition, you know, and I want to build on that and make that a consistent thing.
How big is it when you look at your stats and see 0 turnovers through 4 games?
Yeah, I think it's a big thing. You know, turnover stat is one of the biggest in football, and wanting to balance that with being aggressive. And you know, turnovers are going to happen. It's part of the game, but want to limit those, and that is something that I'm proud of. That had 0 turnovers so far. Now we have to stay consistent with that.
The only really turnover-worthy throw I can even remember you having is the last game when you went deep and Malik had to come chuck the guy for you. What did you see on that play?
Yeah, so we had a double move on, and really I didn't have my feet set, and the ball came out a little goofy. And again, that's another small play when you look at the grand course of the game, but I mean, it was a huge play for us. And speaks to Malik. I mean, not every receiver is going to go do that. I mean, he laid it on the line so we wouldn't turn over the ball, protected me. I told him I owe him a meal, maybe some more after that. So, you know, that gives me a lot of confidence in Malik, and it speaks to our team because he's putting the team first, you know, realizes what's on the line, and he went and did it.
I know ball security was a big emphasis going into the season, and I don't know, some people then speculate maybe that made you a little cautious. Was it nice to be able to, like you said, cut it loose and still play mistake-free? Did that maybe give you confidence to keep going in that direction?
Yeah, sure. You know, I want to continue to have that mindset, continue to cut it loose, and don't really think about that when I'm playing, but that's something you definitely are conscious of throughout the week, and want to continue working on those things. I feel like I've put in the work to this point to do that. Just have to be consistent with it.
How does it feel to not have been sacked since week 1?
Yeah, I mean, nuts. Again, speaks to our O-line, Coach Riley and the boys up front. Incredible communication, and they really take pride in that. And we try and work together. It's hard to always feel where a scrambling quarterback's going to be at or where he's going to go, but ideally, like to think that they know where I'm at, I know where they're at, and we continue to work together with that stuff and limit those things.
One more question on the 55-yard run. How quickly into that play did you say, I'm going to run this thing?
Definitely was a post-snap decision. Was looking to throw first, but wasn't going to force the ball down the field on the 3rd and 16 late in the game like that. But if the window was there, I was going to take it. Didn't feel like it was there enough, and I felt space open up in front of me and decided to take off. I would imagine it was relatively quick after I got the snap, but enough for the pocket to kind of develop a little bit.
To follow up on that same run, you slid to stay in balance. When did you realize I'm gonna slide so the clock keeps running, or were you just sliding so you didn't get hit?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to slide so the clock kept running, make them burn some timeouts, whatever it is. I knew it was key for us to get a first down, so past that point, it was let's get as many yards as possible. I think if those Oklahoma defenders weren't coming in, I might have just ran in the end zone, you know, to be honest with you. But given the situation, the way it was kind of looking, it felt like a win-win type situation.
You got the touchdown anyway.
And
Yeah, I'll thank Coach Klein for that one. He wanted me to finish the job, so that one goes to him.
Plus you took a little more time off the clock, a couple more plays.
Exactly. I think it worked out pretty well.
What did you think of the light show in Norman?
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere was incredible. You know, they were doing a lot with the lights. Even on the last 3rd down right there, you know, they're turning on the lights like seconds before the play. So it is what it is, but atmosphere was definitely really cool, and it's always cool playing a night game and then coming home with the win.
After the game, you talked about how this was something that you hadn't experienced before in your career. Is games like that, is that why you came to K-State, to experience experiences like you did on Saturday?
Absolutely. the end of the day, we just want to win, and having that experience, that win, and a great atmosphere against a ranked opponent like that with this team, it was special, and something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, no question. It's part of why I love the game of football, and probably my favorite moment to this point, playing the game.
You mentioned your parents. This was their first time. Did they come to a lot of the Nebraska games or what?
Yeah, off and on, just since they're from California, it's such a trip out to get to the middle of the country,
Right.
and to do it consistently definitely isn't cheap. So I'm glad they were able to come to this one and be there and support me and support the team.